most amazing artist. I hope you're having a great day today. We are going to be continuing on our kitty cats, and I'm really excited about today because we're actually going to be giving this cat some much needed personality. Right now he is just a body with a head and some ears, but today we're going to make his eyes, his nose, and his mouth, give him some whiskers, a tail, and even a little collar. So what you're going to need today is, of course, your cat that we made last week. You're going to need some crayons, a blank piece of white paper, some scissors, and whatever kind of glue you have at home. I like to use this little glue cup with white glue in it and a little glue brush, and that just helps me control my glue a little bit better. But if you have a glue stick or a glue bottle, that will definitely work. Even tape will work if you don't have any kind of glue. Now that you know everything that you're going to need, let's go ahead and get started. Oh, and to make his tail, I almost forgot, I'm going to be using a little bit more newspaper today. So to make his tail, you're just going to want to use the same paper that you used to make his body, head, and ears. So when we first made our cat, we used only geometric shapes. A geometric shape is a shape that is symmetrical. That means it is the same on both sides. So if I was to cut his head right down the center, I would notice that the left side is the same as the right side. That means it is symmetrical. And when a shape is symmetrical, that means it is geometric. Now today we're going to use geometric and organic shapes. An organic shape is the opposite of a geometric shape. It is not symmetrical. That means it's not the same on both sides. And I'm going to use an organic shape to make his tail today. And for his tail, I'm going to use newspaper like I said a minute ago because that's what I used for the rest of him last week. Now his tail can be as big or as little as you want it to be. But I am going to start down here on the straight edge of my newspaper because I want to line up the bottom of his tail down here next to his body, where his body starts at the bottom of my paper. If I start with a straight edge down here, then it will line up almost perfectly with the bottom of my paper. So what I'm going to do is, you can take a marker or a crayon or pencil, whatever drawing material you have. I'm going to use a marker so that you can see it well. And I'm going to draw a cat's tail, and I want his tail to be a little bit wavy. And then up here at the top, can you see where I'm curving it around to come back down, and it's going to do the same thing down at the bottom. So there is my cat's tail. Maybe you want your cat's tail to be in a loop-de-loop. Maybe you want it to be a straight tail. Maybe you want it to be a really long, skinny triangle tail. You can be as creative as you want to with the shapes of your kitty cat's characteristics. Once you are happy with the shape of his tail, we're just going to cut it out using our very best scissor safety. Alright, and there is his tail, and as you can see, his tail is much more of an organic shape, right? Because if I were to slice this down the center, draw an imaginary line, the left side is definitely different than the right side, so that means it's not symmetrical, it is organic. You can have his tail kind of coming out, touching him, or I'm going to do mine off to the side a little bit. That's totally up to you and where you want to position your cat's tail. However, you probably don't want to put his tail like across his face or something like that because that might look a little bit confusing. So position it where a tail might normally be for a cat. Once you cut a shape out, we need to glue it down so that we don't lose our shapes. And we're going to do the same thing that we did last week. If you're using this glue setup, dot dot, not a lot, all the way around the edges of your shapes. We don't need to put glue in the middle because if we have dots all the way around the edge, then this piece of paper is not going to go anywhere. If you use too much glue, then it's going to squish out from the sides and it's going to get really messy and sticky, and we don't want that. So dot dot, not a lot. And remember, if your glue starts to drip, drip drip, wipe it on the lip of your glue cup, not the lips on your face, the lip of your cup. That's the top part of your cup here. Drip drip, wipe it on the lip. Dot dot, not a lot, all the way around the edge of your shape, just like that. Once you have glue dots going all the way around the edge of your shape, you're gonna carefully flip it over. This tail is kind of skinny, so I'm trying not to get glue all over my hands, but if you do get glue on your hands, that is totally fine. And position it where you want it, and then press it down just like that. And I do have some glue on the edges, so I'm just gonna wipe it away. If you get glue on your fingers, it's fine. You can actually just wipe it away on your messy mat, or you can rub it in like lotion, however you want to do it. So there is my cat's tail. Now I'm ready to do his face, and I'm gonna set my glue off to the side for just a second because we actually are going to be drawing and coloring his eyes and his nose. And that's where our new piece of paper comes into play. And for his facial features, I'm going to use a black crayon to draw them. For his eyes, I want my eyes to be ellipse shapes. That is kind of like a football shape. It's almost an oval, but it's pointed on each end. And this shape is a geometric shape because if I drew an imaginary line down the center, it would be equal on both sides. So we want to keep his eyes geometric. We want them to be symmetrical shapes. So maybe you want his eyes to be circles, maybe you want heart eyes or triangle eyes. Just make sure your eyes and your nose are geometric, and we'll talk about the nose in just a minute. So I want both of my eyes to be the same, so I'm going to draw two ellipses, and I kind of want them to be almost the same size. I'm just going over it a couple times to make it nice and dark around the edges so that we can really see that outline whenever we glue it onto our newspaper. If you look at a cat's eye, it doesn't have a circle in the center, it actually has another ellipse shape right in the center. So again, an ellipse is an oval with pointed sides, kind of looks like a football or an almond shape, and that goes right in the center of his eyes. And I'm gonna go ahead and fill that in because normally that part of a cat's eye is just black. And let's see, what color do I want for my cat's eyes? I can actually mix two colors together if I want to. I think I want green eyes because my cat at home, Beans, he has green eyes. So I'm gonna use a dark green and a light green. And I'm gonna kind of color it in and mix those two colors together. So I just put a little bit of dark green. Now I'm gonna put some light green in there. And I'm gonna go over those colors a couple times so that they really stand out and that all that white space is covered up. And of course, guys, you can do your eyes whatever color that you want to. All right, so there are my eyes. I'm gonna go ahead and cut these out and glue them down. Remember, whenever you cut a shape out, go ahead and glue it down so then it's not lost or fall on the ground or something or accidentally get thrown away. Have some edges coming up, so I am just going to put a little bit more glue, stick it down. And since his head was tilted, I wanted to put my eyes at an angle, not exactly horizontal like you would think. Since his head is tilted, his eyes are also going to be tilted. And I'm just going to press down because these edges don't want to stay down, so I'm going to press them down and count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right. There are my eyes. Now keep in mind when you do your eyes, you don't want to make them too teeny tiny because if they're too small, then we're not going to be able to see them. Mine are pretty big. They're about 2 fingers wide for my eyes here. Now let's do his nose. I'm just going to take one of these little scraps of paper. I'm going to take my black crayon again, and I'm going to draw a geometric shape for his nose. Like I said, you could do a circle, a heart, a triangle, a square nose, whatever you want to do. I think I'm just going to keep it simple and do an upside down triangle for his nose. Just like that. And I want to color his nose. Let's see. Do I have a pink in here? I don't have a pink, but if you don't have a pink, you can actually just use a red and color it very lightly. And it will almost look pink. Now for his little cat mouth. Cats have an interesting mouth. They don't just have a normal smile like humans. They actually have a mouth that is connected to the bottom of their nose. So from the bottom of your nose, you're going to draw a straight line coming down, just like this. And I'm gonna go over it a couple times because I really want it to stand out against my newspaper. And then on each side of this line, we are going to draw 2 curves coming up. So 1 curve on the right side and 1 curve on the left side. And there is your cat's mouth. A nice little detail that you could add right now while you do his mouth is maybe you want his tongue to stick out, and I think I want his little tongue to stick out, and I'll just draw it down there as like a little curve, and then I'll color it using my crayon. Now it's time for his whiskers, and his whiskers are pretty simple. I'm just gonna take another scrap of paper and I'm just gonna cut strips out like this. And I think on each cheek he should have at least 3 whiskers. So let's do 3 whiskers on each side, and that would be 6 whiskers all together. So I'm just gonna cut out skinny rectangles, and I need 6 of them. So I have 4, 5, and 6. And once we cut these out, we're going to glue them down. Now, if you're using a glue brush and a glue cup like this, it's gonna be really hard to do little dots. So you can actually just paint on your glue. That's why we have a messy mat, so that we can avoid getting glue on our table. It's gonna go on our messy mat instead. And then glue it to his cheeks. So his first whisker is a diagonal going up, then his next one is a diagonal going to the side, and the last one will be a diagonal line going more towards the bottom. Okay, so let's go ahead and glue those whiskers down. There are my 3 whiskers on the right side. Now I need to put 3 whiskers on the left side. All right, let's do a wiggle test. Flip it upside down, wiggle it a little bit. If you wiggle it too hard, friends, then this stuff is definitely gonna fall off. So just wiggle it gently. And if nothing falls off, then we are good to go. So I have my face, I have my 2 eyes, my mouth, my nose. I even put a little tongue on and his whiskers, and he has an organic shaped tail. Now the last thing, if you have time, you can add a collar on him. And to do that, we just need a skinny rectangle shape. And I kind of want to measure it before I cut it out. So some of us might have a really small neck, some of us might have a bigger neck for our cat, so we need to measure our collar. And honestly, I think this is a good size for mine, so I'm just going to cut it out like this, and that is where my collar will go. I don't want it to cover up his tongue, but that looks pretty good. And I'm going to decorate his collar. And you can decorate it however you want to. Maybe you just want it to be one color. Maybe you want to add some more geometric shapes or organic shapes. That would be cool. I think I'm gonna do some organic shapes on my collar. And I'm just gonna draw some random organic shapes. But feel free to do whatever collar that you want to do. We just want our collar to be all the way colored in. Okay, my collar is all colored, nice and neat. Now I am going to glue it down. Now you can stop here, or you can go the extra mile and name your kitty cat and actually put a little tag on his collar if you want to. And I think I definitely want to do that, so let me sit and think of his name really quick. You know what? I'm just gonna name him Beans because that's my cat at home, and he kind of looks like my cat because he has those green eyes. And to do his tag, you can make it whatever shape you want to. I think I want his to be a heart. Well, I only have enough room for Bean, so that's good enough. And I think I want to color it red. Cut it out and glue it down. Now that I've added eyes, a nose, mouth, whiskers, collar, and a tail, one, he looks way more like a cat now, and he has a lot more personality. So once you have eyes, nose, mouth, whiskers, tail, and collar, that's a lot of collaging today. Once you have all of those things, then you will be done with art for this week. Make sure you put this in a nice and safe place because we are going to be doing something to the background next week. I hope you guys have fun giving your cat personality and using more geometric and organic shapes. I can't wait to see how your cats are turning out. I know they're going to be amazing because you guys are amazing. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.